How you doing, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer, and we're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking about pro wrestling, and we have short things to talk about. We got Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly here. We got a lot of subjects to talk about, and we're also going to have Jim Cornette of the former World Wrestling Federation, which no longer exists as of a couple of hours ago. He will be our special guest in about 25 minutes or so, and there's a bunch of topics that we're going to be talking about after this first break. No more World Wrestling Federation. The name is now World Wrestling Entertainment. If you checked on the website today, they have already made the change. Tomorrow night on Raw, there's going to be massive changes. They're going to start a promotional campaign called Get the F Out. They have given up, I guess, after going to England and seeing the situation, the lawyers have told them that it is a no-win fight, that lawsuit, which it seemed like it has been for actually quite a long time. They signed a contract in 1994, and they didn't live up to it, and they made a lot of mistakes in how they handled it, and it's going to cost them millions and millions of dollars right now to rectify this situation. Bill Goldberg, now a free agent, effective just a couple of days ago. What will Bill Goldberg do? Actually, we're going to have Bill Goldberg most likely on this show next Sunday night, and that's going to be his first interview with a wrestling show, so we can talk a lot about that, especially because the other big story is 2.9. That was the rating on SmackDown Thursday night, and I'm not, ratings go up and ratings go down, and it's pretty silly to fret over or to go into panic over rating, but believe me, everyone has gone into panic over this number. Bill Goldberg's timing, as far as being a free agent, could not have been better, I can tell you that right now. Tokyo Dome on Thursday, 30th anniversary of New Japan, 57,000 people. Misawa Drew Shono, I'm sure we'll have some calls about that. More on Lou Thez, we'll be talking about him. Josh Barnett, no longer in UFC, he was released.
I think I want to start with what you're talking about at the beginning of the show when you said tomorrow there will be huge changes on Raw. And I just remember like a year ago, if I would have heard that, I would have thought, hey, that's pretty exciting. But today, it's like all this stuff that's happening, a 2.9 rating, Hogan on top with the title. I hate to compare this to the dying days of WWE, but it was like that. When Russo would come back, tomorrow's going to be huge changes on Nitro, the biggest show in the history of the sport, all that kind of stuff. And I think more than anything, all those changes every single week drove off fans. And I don't think it's the same thing this time, but just hearing that again, it was just creepy.
The 2.9 was creepy.
That was creepy.
That was creepy because that was the first time that it all of a sudden seemed like WCW. And, there are, it's sweeps and all that. There are reasons. There were a lot of good shows on Thursday night. But, those shows are on every Thursday night for the most part. And the total viewing audience was up on Thursday night, and wrestling just took a hit. And, Raw was down, but, that's not alarming. Raw's numbers are still good. The other thing that scared me was Saturday night, Rock worked in his hometown. They were in Fort Lauderdale, and they did about 9,000 people. He got an incredible reaction, okay? But it was 9,000 people for the return of the Rock and Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is dead. And, Brian, I got to say this. On Tuesday afternoon, I had not seen the ratings, or I had heard the rating. I had not seen the quarter hours, and Brian had actually seen them before me. And I went on my computer, and Brian had sent me a message and said Hogan is dead on Tuesday afternoon. And, in fact, he was on Tuesday, and he really was a lot more on Friday. And everyone knows it. It's not a secret. No one's reading it the wrong way. And
I don't think anybody should be shocked about it because
it was going to happen.
Yeah, we talked about this, a month ago. Hogan comes back. He's always over like crazy. He makes some money, and everything just falls apart so fast. And if anything was surprising, it was that it happened as fast as it did because he went from, Monday it was like the 4-1 overrun, and right there he was dead. And then the very next show was all the way down to a 2.9 for SmackDown. So it happened like fast, like in 1 week.
I'll tell you something, though. It was only a couple of weeks ago when we were on here with the night of the pay-per-view, and we were talking about, we didn't know, but we figured it was a no-brainer that Hogan was going to win. And actually, Vince McMahon had a different idea, and he got talked into changing his mind the day of the show. And there are people in the company who are really regretting it. That he did, and I'll tell you what, me and you were wrong on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been wrong on some things, but boy, this was a big one. You know, it was just totally looking at the situation wrong. The minute he got that belt, you know, there's something about the belt, and I mean, I've seen it before. Sometimes guys, when they get that belt, the public will look at them with a belt, and they'll love them. You know, and as you know, how many times Ultimate Warrior, Sting, people like that, you know, you think, you know, there's so much momentum, and when we give them the belt, they're going to be over the top, and then you give them the belt, and the people look at him in a different way, and they go, he's not a world champion. He's got this problem and this problem and this problem, and it all falls apart. And with Hogan, you know, they loved him, but they didn't want to see him with a belt, and that's that.
I seriously thought that he would at least make it to this next pay-per-view.
Well,
I thought he would last at least a month, and he didn't even last a week.
I'll tell you the other problem, too, is that if they don't make a change, and as of right now, or as of 2 hours ago anyway, there was no change. It's still Hogan and Undertaker, and it would not shock me at all to see everything topsy-turvy and change tomorrow night. But that's the plan as of right now. That I knew, you know, I mean, the minute I heard they were doing Hogan and Undertaker, I knew that pay-per-view was dead. And it is.
Yeah.
Bill Goldberg, perfect timing. And this has nothing to do with... Bill Goldberg didn't ask for this buyout. AOL Time Warner asked for the buyout. Bill Goldberg was very content to sit out for 2 years. And, you know, Jim Ross was on a radio show on TalkSport in England yesterday. And when they asked him about Bill Goldberg, you know, he kind of said, you know, we don't want to do anything that's going to upset morale. And you know what's funny is that, you know...
They've been doing that all year.
No, I know that, but 24 hours makes a whole lot of difference. I expect that they're going to make a big offer to him. There's some... It's going to be interesting. There's so much politics involved in that. And the other problem with Bill Goldberg is there is no guarantee by any means that it will work. I don't know if they know how to do it right. My idea of how to do it right is something that they're not going to do anyway, and it's probably too late to do it. I mean, you know, when we did the old show, and this whole subject was coming up when they bought WCW and they didn't buy Goldberg's contract. Brian, you know, I remember Brian went on a big speech, and you were in. This time you were right, unlike the last one where we were both wrong. That Bill, you know, that invasion they'll either pay Bill Goldberg, and the invasion has a chance of succeeding, or they'll have to pay him later, you know, because it's going to fail. As it turned out, it just failed, and they didn't pay him later, and now, you know, it's like the window of opportunity for Bill Goldberg, I think, as far as the big money on the two big pay-per-views with Austin Rock, I think that window of opportunity is already closed.
Yeah, I think they can make some money no matter what, maybe if it's only for 1 month. And I say that because I think they did pretty much everything that they could possibly do wrong with the invasion angle. I think every single mistake that they could have made, they did. But still, that invasion pay-per-view in July was a huge success. And it was all downhill from there. But that first month, even though they did everything wrong, they still made money. So I think with Goldberg, even if it's just that first pay-per-view, I really think that can maybe, I don't know how much they're going to offer him, but if they made him a huge offer, I think that could pay for a lot of it just with that one show. After that, it's anybody's guess, and I don't think Vince has ever done the invasion right in any way. But
in this one, I don't think he can.
I don't think this was...
Plus, here's the other problem. Now, first of all, he's got Brock Lesnar doing the Bill Goldberg gimmick, okay? If he brings Bill Goldberg in the, quote, way he worked in WCW, I mean, there's going to be, you know, the troops are going to go crazy. And here's the other thing, you know, and again, you know, I mean, we just don't know with Bill, you know, and of course Bill's talking a lot about Japan. Anyway, what else?
With Japan, though, is, I mean, just look at guys like Stan Hansen. If you get over in Japan, I mean, you're set for life.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
The downside is Stan Hansen can't walk much anymore, but...
Yeah, but Bill Goldberg doesn't want that life.
Yeah.
He doesn't want those 3-week tours. I don't believe it. I think that's why Pride is so...
But he would never have to worry at some point in his life of not being able to find work somewhere. He could always go to Japan and make a payoff there. Same thing won't happen necessarily here in the U.S.
If he was working for $10,000 a week like Stan Hansen or whatever Stan Hansen, you know, was making at the end, yes. But Bill Goldberg's going to want a lot more than that. It's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start heading to phone calls before we get Jim Cornette on the line. We are going to start with Matt in Boston. Matt, what's happening?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Brian.
Hey.
I want to talk about Goldberg. First of all, if he could end up in New Japan.
That's one of his top. That's actually, as of yesterday, New Japan was pretty high on his priority list.
If he ever gets that, he's going to be pushed huge, of course, right?
He'd have to be pushed huge because the amount of money they're going to pay him, the only way they're going to be able to get anything out of it is by pushing him huge. Yeah.
Even if he goes to Pride, though, isn't that kind of he'll end up in New Japan eventually, I'd assume. I know he'll probably, have him get a big win, then bring him over to New Japan.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good strategy if they can do it right, yeah.
How much money is New Japan willing to offer him, though?
I have no idea.
It's Inoki's money now, isn't it? I mean...
it's New Japan's money, but yeah, Inoki owns 55% owner now, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if he lost that first match in Pride and they thought he'd win easily, he'd be screwed.
Boy, would he be screwed.
Well, Nagata wasn't screwed, but kind of is, but sort of. Anyway, I want to talk about...
Well, Nagata's the champ now.
Yeah, but I mean, he would...
It hurt him, though, absolutely.
And Nagata really didn't have that... Well, I guess he sort of had an aura, but not like Goldberg's aura.
No, Goldberg will get hurt if he gets beat up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to talk about 5-2, Don't Show.
Yes.
Nagata losing to Boss Rutan.
No, Nakanishi.
Yeah. Nagata.
You said Nagata.
Thinking about Nagata, sorry.
Yeah.
Nakanishi losing. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
They're trying to build up a program for Nakanishi where he comes back and gets the win back.
Is he ever going to get it, though?
Yeah, same thing they did with Gary Goodrich last year, and he got it. Nakanishi got it back from Gary Goodrich on the next big show.
How about China, a referee?
How about her?
I think, yeah. I'm not sure what she even did in that match, but I know she pulled some guy up the ropes or something, and then was a confrontation afterwards or something like that with the Steiners.
Yeah, I don't know what the story is on that, but
maybe they can build up to a match with Scott and her.
That'd be terrible.
Right.
Hey, at least she didn't wrestle anybody on that show.
I think she's going to end up wrestling someone, though.
And I hope not. Maybe she can. She was originally supposed to referee the Giant Sting Giant Silva match.
Is she not like Inoki's valet? Is he want to be Vince McMahon or something with all these women? Because I always see him with China now. He walks out with her and she protects him from Tiger Jeet Singh.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Someone should tell him that the WWF canned her.
Yeah. You know what else? They should tell him that the ratings that they're trying to copy the WWF, that these guys, that they're doing better now.
Yeah.
Why are you copying people who aren't doing as good as you?
Yeah, they're kind of off somewhere. I don't know. Inoki's in his own little world there.
Yeah, he is.
I also want to talk about
Make it very quick.
The IWGP challenges, Fujita, Fry, and maybe Sasaki.
Yeah.
Who do you see Fry next or Fujita?
Fujita. Fujita's who I see next because Fry's got a lot of, I think Fry's going to do a K1 on a Pride. I was researching Luthez this week, and oh my God, it never ends. And we've got Jim Cornette on the line. And Jim, how are you doing today?
Dave, I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, man, this has been one busy week.
But Dave, you probably got shorter fingers now from typing that issue this week.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
You got to see it already?
Sad circumstances, but
good.
you think you know everything about somebody that you've been around a lot, Wahoo, or etc. I always learn something from your obituaries in the Observer.
So you like the story?
Oh, I loved it. Well, I'd heard some of the stories before, but I loved hearing some of the other ones and hearing them again. And then with Luthez, just we don't sit back and take into account what kind of impact that some guys have had on this business, and his longevity was just incredible, and it kind of put it in perspective.
I'm doing a story right now on Luthez, and I was actually wanting to talk to you about this. Luthez's in the United States, his last challenge for a major singles championship. I think you were at the match because it was at the Louisville Gardens against Billy Robinson in 1980.
For the CWA Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
It was in 1981 at the Louisville Gardens, and I was shooting pictures of the matches then, and got a 6-page spread in Gong magazine in Japan for that match. Because Billy Robinson, who was a great shooter and hooker, etc., in his own right, and Luthez, who was pretty well universally respected as the guy for so many years, even though he was 65 years old at that time. I'll never forget it because they went to a 15-minute draw, and I have to assume they couldn't figure out who was going to do the job because elsewise a title match would have been a 15-minute time limit. But Thez wore Robinson out.
Really?
He was 65 years old. I mean, Robinson had a lot of stamina, and obviously he wasn't blown up, but he looked like he was sweating more than Thez was. And Thez was taking the over-the-knee one-arm backbreakers and just everything. And the greatest part about it was, because this is real close to St. Louis, Louisville, so Thez wrestled here for years on and off, through his whole career. So this one old man at ringside who was there, they built the gardens around him. He was always at wrestling, right? They're leaving the ring after 15 minutes. Thez, 65 years old, just went with Billy Robinson. And the guy's yelling at Robinson, "You're a phony! You're a phony! There's no way Thez can't beat you!" You know, he always had an aura around him.
What was it like again? Because how did the people react to this guy? Because it's just, like today, the idea of of course, Luthez wasn't a normal person, but the idea of a man of that age wrestling competitively at the top level against, the local world champion, it's just, in thinking about it, I mean, I was a fan when this was going on, and I remember this, and at the time it didn't seem that unusual because it was Luthez, okay?
Right.
Now we're 20 years later, when I think back on it, I'm going like, what were we thinking? This is insane.
Well, the thing about it was, at that time, the average age of top guys was older anyway, because guys had longer careers, and it took them longer to learn what they were doing.
Yeah, but 64, 65 years old?
But, like, Bockwinkel was the world champion when he was 50 for the AWA.
That's true. And he was still a very competitive guy at that age, too.
Yeah, it looked kind of out of place, but then it was Luthez, and like I said, like you said, for any wrestling fan, it's Luthez.
Yeah.
And for anybody else, once they started watching, they were going to go, that guy may be an old man, but he can go. It was almost amazing.
Do you think guys lasted longer and were more mobile because they just didn't spend their entire lives on steroids?
No, I think because they didn't spend their entire lives on the top rope.
Yeah.
I think that's had more to do with it than anything else. Everything's been speed up. Now an average match on Raw, if it lasts 10 minutes, they do what a 30-minute match would have done. They just eliminate everything in between. And, the guys are coming off the top rope and they're doing all these screwy things, so much more often. It's just, and a lot of them before they're ready for it. These guys, with 15 years experience, you can protect yourself, but with, 2 years experience, you haven't figured out all the ways you can screw yourself up yet.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Hogan because I was, on the SmackDown match, the guy couldn't even, he couldn't even walk, and he wasn't like a top rope guy. But I don't know. Muda at least did the moonsaults and everything. But
the funniest thing was there was always the story of the Ox Baker bump in the wrestling business. Ox Baker, God bless him. I can't imagine he ever took a steroid. I can't imagine he ever took a bump. And he ended up more crippled than just about anybody. Bad knees.
He was a mess.
Escaped from New York, he still didn't fall down.
Yeah.
And and he ended up in worse shape. I think it's each individual.
It is. There's freaks. There's people with good bone structures, and there's people who are going to break down. And early.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't know, Jim. And I don't even know if
like one of those people sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if you even heard this news yet, but the World Wrestling Federation is no longer.
Okay, actually, yesterday was Derby Day, so I really haven't been out much. I didn't realize I was unemployed.
No, you're not unemployed. No, the company's still around. The company's changed its name to World Wrestling Entertainment. The campaign's tomorrow night on Raw.
Okay.
It's because of the lawsuit. It's not, in England they decided to give up on the appeal, and the big change is going to start tomorrow, and it's a whole new company, and it's going to be rebranding, and they got about 8 days to get all the rebranding done. It's going to be insane.
Brad, I'm going to have to do new business cards, too.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a reimbursable expense.
I think it probably is.
Actually, anybody who wants WWF gossip from me tonight on the program is probably going to be disappointed because partially purposely and partially because I don't have time. I haven't really stayed up with all the WWF gossip. I can just do OVW gossip.
I think that's what most people want, actually. From you is OVW. Speaking of OVW, your next big show is going to be May 31st at Louisville at Kentucky Kingdom. And I know Mick Foley is going to be there. And where are you going? Any other stars coming in?
Actually, for the 31st, Mick will primarily be, how do you follow that? Last time we had Ric Flair on Spring Breakout April 5th, and this time we're coming back with Mick Foley. And hopefully we're not establishing a precedent for ourselves that we can't continue to top all summer. But it's going to be the rest of the OVW guys. Foley, possibly somebody from the HWA. I'm still putting everything together. But it's going to be a super event. And if anybody, also the shameless plug, let me go ahead and get it over with. If anybody wants to check out news on that, as well as, of course, our fantastic OVW television show, our website is ovwrestling.com. And I wanted to thank you and everybody else for the votes in the year-end awards we placed so highly. Our little bitty, local television show. I appreciated that.
You should appreciate the listeners and the readers because I don't even think Brian voted.
I voted.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Well, damn, Brian.
I did vote.
Did you? But more importantly, did you vote for us?
Of course I did.
Okay.
What, for best TV show?
Absolutely.
Oh, boy. EMLL was close.
Oh, come on.
Brian loves the EMLL, and EMLL's been really good over the last year. You know, and so I have to give him that. Let's see.
Well, maybe you ought to create a best English language television program category.
Well, SmackDown had a good year last year. It's not having a good year right now in the ratings, though. Boy, I don't know what. Again, I don't want to get you on the spot too much, but Bill Goldberg, what's your thoughts?
Truthfully, I've never even met the guy, so I can just tell you, what overall that I've been reading, that I've been hearing, is that he was making a lot of money. I don't even know what his contract situation is, but he was making a lot of money not to wrestle.
Yeah, no, he's a free agent now. It's all been settled.
Okay, it's all been settled. In that case, I think it depends on how much he wants to be a wrestler. How old is he?
35.
He's 35 years old. I don't know what his injury situation has been in his football career and everything, but
got a bad hand this week.
He's been dinged up a few times in wrestling, and it may be a situation where does he want to wrestle? I don't think that the WWF, is going to hire anybody for any amount of money unless they think that guy's committed, to putting forth his best effort and for whatever term of the contract, 5 years, whatever it may be.
Scott Hall.
Let me cough up that dirt. No. So I think it would have to be, does Goldberg want to be a wrestler for that long? Because I've heard people say that he's not really gung-ho on the business, but I don't know that. So, if he wants to be, then I think he'd be worth the money. But if he doesn't want to be, or doesn't want to hop into the rest of the program, I don't think it'd be worth it at any price. I think everybody has to be happy with it.
Well, it's going to be really hard in this business right now to make everybody happy.
Oh, it can be done.
Now, we're heading to a break in just a minute, but real quick, is there any, as far as like OVW is concerned, anybody to watch out for that's like just showed up?
We are actually just getting our new guys indoctrinated, and a couple of the folks that we got haven't been trained very much. There's a couple of guys I think are going to be, pretty good coming up, but I'm really excited about Nova.
Okay.
Nova's going to be starting next week, and I'm really excited about him. I've known him and his brother for a long time. Going to visit Dennis Corluzzo as often as I used to, I get a chance to see Donnie B, and I think he is going to be really a major bonus for OVW, a major plus.
I always think, because I've known Jim Cornette since he was a young guy, that I don't think of him as being old.
As an old guy.
No, but all the young guys in the business kind of do, which is...
Yeah, it's like I'm the world's youngest old-timer or the world's oldest, youngster. I don't know. I got the Dick Clark spot.
Yeah, the one thing, Brian said something on the show last week. I had never thought about this. And it was actually when we were talking about Wahoo, and I guess he had been reading about Wahoo. And he said something to the effect of, Brian, do you remember exactly what you said?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, about how, it made you wish that you had...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good you got your broadcast partner to bail you out of these holes, Dave.
Okay.
It was actually from Ohio Valley when you had the segment on Dream Machine.
That's right.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
I was watching that, and he cut such an awesome promo. And I know David had written before about what a great promo guy he was. And to me, it was like, okay, the Dream Machine is a great promo guy, but I'd never seen it. And then I watched it on your show, and right then I just thought, I just wish I were older. And
well, it's once again, it's kind of sad. The best issues of The Observer happen when sad things happen, and with our television show, we air here in Louisville. Of course, for the people who subscribe off our website, ovwrestling.com, to the TV on video, it's only like $20 a month. I mentioned that, but anyway. For the past few months, what I've decided to do is every time something like this happens, I have a big videotape collection, and I don't think that these guys get remembered as much as they should be. So even at first we started doing it when somebody was big in this territory or worldwide, but now I just figure it's worth a minute or two of our television time every week or whenever it happens, just to remember some of the legends of the business and what they've contributed in some form, even though we don't have a nationwide viewership. At least we can do something. But now I find myself almost every week, where do I put the obituary?
Hopefully this run is over.
I would hope so, yeah.
Boy, I hope so.
Have you ever thought of maybe putting like a 2-minute segment on every show, just spotlighting a different person? But I would probably go nuts because when I go back in my old tapes, I want to play everything. I'd like to just rent TV time and just play all the old tapes again for people.
So I'm afraid I'd get carried away with it. And we've got so much going on, you know, with the new guys and with the guys in OVW now. A lot of times I'm shoehorning stuff in to try to get everything in a television show, and I don't want to short them their time now.
Yeah.
Let's start going to phone calls because we got a lot of people who've been waiting for a long time. We're going to go to Tom in Sacramento. Tom, what's going on?
Hey, Tom, Dave, Jim. Sorry, I mentioned myself.
Yes.
Tom, Dave, Jim.
How you guys doing? I got a quick mixed martial arts question, a quick WWE question.
Okay. WWE, that's going to take a long time to get used to.
Wow.
He's already ready.
Mixed martial arts question. If the Naoya Ogawa Hickson Gracie dream match were to ever occur, does Ogawa really have a chance in a real fight with Hickson? Because I only know much stuff. I've seen Hickson go, but I haven't really seen Naoya in a shoot fight, with the exception of the one Pride, and I think that was worked.
And I think it was too.
It's getting old.
Hickson's 43 years old, and Hickson's 185 pounds. Ogawa is probably about 250 pounds, and he's probably about 32, 33 years old. He was a gold medalist in judo. It's not the same thing. I don't know. It's a weird, it's a kind of a freak match. You know,
It's going to draw a lot, though.
It's going to draw a lot of money. I sense it's going to be a really boring match because what I think will happen is that either Hickson's going to submit him, but I don't know how Hickson's going to get him down because he's bigger. But Ogawa's not going to beat Hickson in any way, shape, or form. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So it may go for like a really long time and be a boring draw, or Hickson may submit him because Ogawa's just makes a mistake.
Yeah. And then my WWE question, and I guess Jim, maybe you can get on this. Would WWE ever consider going to like a round robin format for King of the Ring, like Champion Carnival and G1?
Too complicated for our audience.
Yeah, really.
I think
That's not a thing that's done in one night.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that. I was just wondering. It was just because it would be something maybe to get, because mainly this is for mid-card guys, I noticed. And I just figured it would be something to maybe get, storylines going with these guys. Something, you can get something going after,
They just don't want the fans to have to think too much.
Well, honestly, that's true. Japan is a whole different culture and a whole different audience, and I don't think anybody over here wants to watch any kind of entertainment or sporting event with a notepad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to though.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I totally agree with you though. In fact, one of my qualms is that if I have to look it up in my notepad and I don't remember it, then it didn't get over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like my school of thought when it comes to wrestling.
And if you were having to keep track of wins and losses and et cetera, without it being, I think tournaments when they're on television and when you can say so and so advanced, a single elimination tournament, I think those are fun ratings getters or draws or one night things or whatever. You can do a lot with them, but when you go on a point system and different points for different decisions, you're getting into brain science there.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I've had. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, thanks very much. We're going to Rondale in Long Island. What's going on?
Hello, Dave. I have two questions for you. With the recent crisis in the Catholic Church, it reminds us...
I got him quick. Let's go to Virginia Beach, Virginia. And Matt.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I was just going to tell you what I think I found out about this whole WWE thing.
Uh-huh.
Right now they had the original thing, which was WWFE.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's going to happen is when they say it on TV, it's going to be WWE just because they need that third letter. But when they say, like, the title is going to be the World Wrestling Championship.
World Wrestling Entertainment.
Still say World Wrestling Federation.
I don't think they can still say it. I don't think they will though.
Well, I went to the WrestleMania history website, and they had like changed all the references, and it says like Vince McMahon, the World Wrestling Chairman, and Austin wins the World Wrestling title.
Wow.
And then, so I'm thinking, that's why that logo, it looks like they just chopped the F off the edge.
Oh, they may, you're right. They may just call it World Wrestling, and then World Wrestling Entertainment will be the three-letter word.
Right.
Actually, I don't think it really makes much difference if they drop a letter out of the name, as long as they don't drop any numbers out of our paychecks.
Oh, but think of all those T-shirts, and I'm serious. Think of all those T-shirts that have been made, videos, upcoming advertising. This is a huge deal.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're going to issue a recall on all the merchandise they've released in the past 30 years.
No, but I don't think they can sell any new ones. And all the stuff that's in the warehouse, I think they got to burn. Seriously.
Maybe they can just give it away.
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand they've got like 400,000 or 500,000 of the Jim Cornette dolls that Target wouldn't take for the $1.99 clearance. we might be able to get some of those cheap.
Oh, my God.
I think I got my royalty check, paid them.
Oh.
For the dollar. It wasn't a big seller. And they made my gut too big also. It was after I'd lost weight and they really, made me too fat.
Dare they?
Oh, my God.
I think it was Paul Bearer's body. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's scary.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Matt. We're going to Ed in San Antonio. Ed, what's going on?
It's going pretty good, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing really good.
What I want to talk to Jim Cornette is earlier you were talking about taking pictures at the Lutez Billy Robinson match, and what I would like to know, what I'm curious about is, were you a freelance photographer or did you work for the After Mag?
Well, actually, it's the same thing. The After Mags, as they were called, didn't really employ more than a few photographers as staff people. They had somebody in each territory that they could rely on to send them pictures, and I was one of those folks for the Memphis territory. So I was a hanger-on. I wasn't really a freelance. I was like an indentured servant. Whoever ran wrestling in Louisville, I was going to somehow be indentured to them. And it just happened to, thankfully, be Christine Jarrett. So I was able to, to be close to the business from the time I was a teenager. The magazines in Japan, Norm Keitzer's Wrestling News, Bill Apter's magazines, anywhere I could send pictures, the program here, etc. I was all over the place.
Okay. And now, were you pushing to be part of the programs, or was that something that they came to you and asked you to be part of the show?
To be a manager?
To be a manager.
Actually, I was just hanging around, hoping that I would actually be able to do anything. I never really thought that they would actually let me do something important. And then, as a matter of fact, Jerry Jarrett came to me, and the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, they asked me, which at that point, only the people who did my shorts will know how scared I was at that time.
Okay, and one more question. You guys have talked a little bit about Lutez, but could we get your opinion and your thoughts on Wahoo McDaniel?
Yeah, Jim, talk about Jim knew Wahoo. Jim worked with Wahoo a lot.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to some of the guys, and we were telling old stories about, Wahoo was hilarious, and he would tell stories on the plane, and, his hunting and fishing and golfing and fall stories. I mean, he did everything. But also, I was telling Dave on the phone, as a matter of fact, when he asked me, called to talk about Wahoo. A lot of people these days, and I think that you mentioned that this week in the Observer, Dave, is why he hasn't been in the Hall of Fame yet. A lot of people these days remember Wahoo's entire career just from the last 3 or 4 years he was on, TBS television when he was working for Crockett, when he was at the end of his career and he was heavy and he'd slowed down. But he was a tremendous athlete. I mean, he was unbelievable. And we went back and got some of the older tapes to, put a little something together for our television show. And I think if the people remembered that Wahoo, he would already be in the Hall of Fame. But he was a
something to look forward to watching.
I'm sorry?
It's something for us to look forward to watching.
Exactly. Yeah. I think maybe next year, things may be different.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, since I'm a subscriber, do I get a vote on the Hall of Fame this year?
No. Sorry.
I thought it was for your readers. I didn't know it was for celebrities.
No, it's for people in business and reporters.
Okay. I'm challenging all the people. They need to open their eyes and they need to vote Wahoo in this year for sure, because it's a travesty that he's not in there. Being from San Antonio, Wahoo this is like his second home. He was always I've been watching Wahoo since I was 9, up until he ended his career, and he was one of the best. He really was, and it's a shame that he's not, and he really needs to be put in this year.
Okay, I actually agree. After researching that article, I thought that he belonged in the Hall of Fame as well, and I did last year. I voted for him last year as well. So anyway,
that just shows in a lot of cases we don't know what we got till it's gone, because we don't take a good close look at people while they're still here.
God, I mean, you should just...
I think that that's been borne out by the last several big pieces that you did on people.
Yeah. I want to get to Trent right away. Trent, what's happening?
And not too much. I got about 30 questions for Jim. So
okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to be as extemporaneous as I can about each one of them.
Okay, back in '97, you were in charge of the light heavyweight division, I believe.
Well, actually, that's a fallacy, but somehow I got tagged with it. Actually, I was just the one who called all the guys up and told them when to come to TV.
Okay.
Somehow it all became my fault. But that's neither here nor there, is it?
Who's supposed to this time, and when do you think those legs will be cut out of the division, or do you think it will actually be given a shot, or what can be done to...
You know, the only thing I can go on is what I've been told, and what I've been told, they're interested in having it, and they want to give it a chance. I think it all depends on who the cruiserweights are. I think that will tell whether it gets over or not. They've got enough guys in the WWF that the cruiserweights can be protected to the extent that they don't have to wrestle the Big Show to look like little
Thank
small
God.
you know, so the only thing that remains to be seen then is who are the cruiserweights, and I think Rey Mysterio, I've heard that they've been talking to him. He's going to sign a contract. Something was on the Ross report, whatever. You know, I think if Rey Mysterio's part of it, it's going to be dynamite. I've always enjoyed him. I think of the luchadors that came to WCW, he's the one that got over because even though they all came in with masks and they all came in with the same kind of style, he just has the whole package. He's like Tiger Mask in Japan was originally. In a sea of flyers, he still stands out.
Yeah, definitely him and Ultimo Dragon are the two that really got the biggest rub from the Bischoff days there. What are your thoughts, or what are the thoughts of the OVW boys on how Rico, Orton, and Lesnar have been used so far?
Oh, well, I'm really proud of them. It's kind of like watching, you know, your kids go to college or whatever. You know, we're all really proud of them down here. Of course, the folks who subscribe to the OVW TV show on videotape at ovwrestling.com for only the low price of $20 a month, they know how good Randy Orton and Rico and Brock Lesnar have been since they came here. Randy, specifically, I watched SmackDown the other night to see his match with Hardcore Holly, and I thought it was just tremendous. You know, he's wrestling like a veteran. He's wrestling like he's 35 years old, but he's still got the body of a 22-year-old. He's got 2 years' experience. I think Randy Orton is going to be a huge prospect for a long time to come.
You know when they do that intro in the second hour, like it's a new show, I feel like I'm transported back, again in time, to Georgia Championship Wrestling, where Jim Cornette will remember this. When the show first went on cable a long, long time ago, it was a 2-hour show, but they treated it like 2 one-hour shows. And after the first hour, they would sign off. Gordon Solie would say, "So long, see you next week." They'd have a commercial, and they'd come back, and they'd open the show, and he'd go, thank you, and welcome to... And I'm going like, what is this? I never got it.
Well, exactly, but the show serves several purposes because they...
Oh, you're going to explain this to me? Okay.
You know, for some syndication some places
That's true.
Around the territory and blah, 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 so they split it up like that.
Okay, we are going to go back to Trent. Trent, what's up?
Just a few more hundred questions.
Actually, I droned on and had diarrhea of the mouth, and it took too long to answer Trent's question earlier. But yeah, we're proud of Brock and Rico and Randy, and they've looked tremendous so far. And looking forward to seeing Ron H2O Waterman when he debuts on television. I don't know when that will be, but he's been doing the weekend events for quite some time, and you know, all 4 of those guys really worked hard here, and we're glad to see them getting some success.
It's really too bad that Lesnar hasn't been there long enough, because really, he and Hogan, just before Hogan really starts to fall as far as importance, you know, that'd be a feud that would, you know, definitely help Lesnar. You know, Hogan needs to work with Benoit and Lesnar and Jericho, not, you know, Austin and those guys. So
I don't think it's going to happen though.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it is too early for Lesnar to be married to Hogan at this point in time. But
yeah,
hopefully that does happen. You know, before it's too late. To Nashville, Jim, you have been doing some commentating there. How did that come about? And I know that Jerry Jarrett was there with some supposed trials for his pay-per-views.
I want to say something about the Jerry Jarrett situation. You know, you and I have talked about Jerry Jarrett since the beginning of time, and Jerry Jarrett, and you know, you've worked with him a lot. I've known him on and off for years. I always considered him a very smart guy, and I do not understand what he's doing. I do not understand how you can do pay-per-views every week with no television, and maybe I'm wrong, and he'll prove me wrong on this one, but I don't even see a possibility of this thing being a success.
I think that nobody's tried it, so he's going to try and see. And the one thing about Jerry Jarrett, as you said, he's a very smart man. You know, he's the guy that first got me in the business, which shows his brilliance right there. But Jerry Jarrett is not going to lose in a business arrangement. So you can be assured that some way or another Jerry Jarrett is going to do well. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the concept will succeed, but Jerry Jarrett's not going to be like the rest of these yahoos that pay his audience to come in or whatever, and you know, spend $16 million in a weekend or whatever. You know, it's going to have a chance to succeed because it's probably going to last for a while if Jerry Jarrett's involved in it, because he outlasted almost everybody else. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. But you know, there's a misconception, I think, in that now all of a sudden that Jerry's back, you know, watching the matches, everything is Jerry Jarrett in Nashville. This is what this is going to be. Jerry, the way I started going to Nashville, let me backtrack and answer his original question. I've known Burt Prentice, the promoter, forever there. Jerry Lawler wrestles for Burt quite a bit in Nashville and surrounding area. Lawler wanted to wrestle David Flair and talk to Jim Ross about it. Burt called me. He was in love with the idea. I thought David would learn. So in the process of that, Burt said, well, I've been doing my own television commentary, but I've talked to Scott Hudson. Would you like to come down 1 or 2 Saturdays a month and just, you know, call the action live to tape at the fairgrounds? And work with Scott, and it was a chance, you know, for me to see some different faces and just, you know, I don't take any road trips anymore. So, you know, that's why I was doing it and continue to. I'm supposed to be back down there for the next TV he does on June 1st. But Jerry, actually, I think Jarrett has been coming to Nashville to look at the talent because it's close to his house. So Bert's been lucky that a lot of wrestlers want to come a long distance and audition, so to speak, for Jerry Jarrett, so that helps Bert get a lot of guys on his cards. But, you know, it's not going to be the Music City Wrestling or USA Championship Wrestling has all of a sudden been grouped with Jerry Jarrett like that's what's going on pay-per-view. And they're two different companies that are, you know, obviously everybody's friendly because everybody knows each other.
Okay, let's go to Brandon in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Brandon, what's going on?
Nothing much. Hey, Jim. Hey, Brian. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
Jim, I was mostly just wondering, has the WWF talked to you about bringing up more people to be managers like they've done with Rico?
To more people to be managers?
Like training guys in managerial roles. They actually haven't been doing that too much.
Actually, you know, Rico's original focus obviously was not managing. You know, he's actually, I think Rico does great with Billy and Chuck because he gives that team some contrast. I would rate, you know, Rico's ability in the ring concurrent with theirs. You know, I think that's going to be something that down the road, hopefully they'll have some 6-man tags where everybody can see that Rico is a heck of a wrestler. But that's just kind of the spot that fell in front of him, and I think he's doing a real good job with it.
I think he's doing a really good job, too. I wish he would get in the ring, but he's doing good with what he's got. I was just wondering if they were, I mean, Paul Heyman is working with Brock, and that's working out, and Rico's working with Billy and Chuck, and that's working out. They were just talking about bringing people up to be managers.
No, you know, they haven't, but that's not to say that they won't. Maybe if it works again. Hey, we always said managers would come back without having to get, you know, breast implants. And, you know, now all we got to do is either have really bad sideburns or wear a really crummy suit.
Okay.
Like that.
Let's go to Matt in San Francisco. Matt.
Right over his, okay.
I heard that. Let's go to Matt in San Francisco.
Long time no speak, Dave.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, Chico?
Hey.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Chico and the man.
Yeah.
Hey, Chico is the man. Got a question for you, Chico. Does ICW have a website up there?
WrestlingWarriors.com.
Okay. I created you in the SmackDown game on PlayStation 2.
Oh, my God, he's in the game.
Your finisher.
What's my finisher?
Yeah.
Super kick. Use that one.
Okay. Sweet chin and music. Cool.
Very low impact.
Question for Dave. Are
Yes.
you going to the Pro Wrestling Iron Show on the 31st?
No, I'm not. But I will probably see a tape of it very soon after the show.
Yeah. I know they're bringing in 2 Coldies in for the weekend.
Yeah.
Maury's going to be in town. I know he's going to work.
Oh, and Maury's working the show. I knew he was coming in. I didn't know if he was
there. He's going to be there. I don't know if he's going to work. But...
Yeah, I knew he was going to that show, and he's going to one of Harley Race's shows as well. I don't know if he's going to work either on either of those shows.
Any word on who else would be on the shows?
Just guys that used to work for APW. You know, like I think Steve Rosano's coming back, and Max Justice and people like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Have you seen anything on Tommy Drake?
I'm sure I saw him before. I haven't seen anything lately, though. I heard he's improved since the last time I saw him, though.
Oh, they retrained him, and well, you know how good of a trainer Mike is.
Mike's a really good trainer, yeah.
You know, it has been...
Mike Modest, for those of you who are thinking that we're talking in some inside language.
About a year and a half ago, we were talking about Mike, you know, getting into the big time somewhere, and he just couldn't break through.
Well, he finally did.
Finally.
and it's just amazing the stuff that him and Donovan and Bison are doing without Roland.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that war because, you know, since King of the Indies, there hasn't been a big indie show in the area. Has Roland done a show since then? Because I know he was doing one really soon.
He's got Terranova coming up in Pacifica.
Okay.
Which he's bringing in some names.
Mm-hmm. It's really shocking when you think about it that someone is able to run a successful wrestling promotion without the expert guidance and counseling of Roland Alexander.
Yeah, and be nice. Let's not bag on the guy. I mean, he's entertained us for years, no doubt. Great product.
Yeah, that King of the Indies was awesome stuff.
I agree.
No doubt about that.
I agree. That was a hell of a show. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten my tape though, but I want to see Brian get stiffed. But
well, you won't see because it's not on there.
Brian got cut. Let's go to we got to go to Dave in St. Louis. Dave, what's going on?
I think it's kind of lame how they made it WWE. You know, and I mean, I guess it describes them a little better, but
well, it wasn't by choice.
Yeah, but did they find out about this? Like when they could have just had WCW and like ECW kind of take over the
no, that was a different. That's totally different. I'll tell you what, I don't think they should have gotten rid of that WCW name.
You really think that Vince would have used that?
Well, no, I mean, it was done right. It was done right. You know, it's too late now. You know, you can't resurrect it, but, you know, especially with the split and everything. I mean, boy, now it's WWE. Oh, boy, now it's WWE SmackDown. And, oh, boy. This is going to be really interesting next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know why they just, like, called half the roster Raw and the other half SmackDown when they, you know, could have kept the whole, you know, thing going with different federations, you know, against each other.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a lot better.
We have a lot of questions about the last year.
Yeah. I mean, they did so well up until WrestleMania of last year, and there's been some good after that, but, boy, yeah, a lot of questions.
I've got a question. Does this mean I need to change OVW to OVE?
Let's hope not. Well, thanks a lot. Hey, could you keep me on hold so I can listen to the show?
I don't know about that.
All right.
Let's go to Benjamin. Benjamin, what's going on?
How's it going?
Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah. I just wanted to say hi to Dave and to Jim, and I wanted to let Jim know that I was a big fan of his back in, like, late 80s WCW.
Before electricity?
Yeah. And I was a really big fan of, like, you know, the Midnight Express versus the Fantastics, and, of course, your big feud with Paul Heyman culminating in that, you know, loser must lose his tuxedo and, you know, the great
tuxedo encounter. Thank you very much.
No, I'm serious. That was a big mark back then, and I was, you know, really, you know, going hardcore for you as a fan. My question is, when do you think that Sean O'Hara will be called up from OVW to the WWF?
You know, once again, there's no timetable there. Sean has really improved since he's been here. I think he's got a ways to go, and he knows that as far as smoothing out and, you know, really getting comfortable with what he's doing. But he's, you know, made leaps and bounds since he's been here, and he is so athletic. A guy that's that size, that is as smart as he is and also as athletic as he is. He can do a freestanding backflip, for God's sake. You know, you just have to direct them, and they've got to get into things psychologically and mentally, and I think that's what he's doing now. So, you know, I'm sure he will be there, but there's no timetable right now.
He just has, you know, even before, like, he got sent down, he just has that, you know, the look to succeed in my opinion. I mean, he's, you know, he's tall, he's got, you know, the build, and he's got, you know, a unique look that I just think once he gets called up, he'll, you know, do pretty well. But, you know.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. You know, they had so many guys in such a short period of time, you know, dropped in their lap from the merger and et cetera and the WCW blah, 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 that, you know, I think they needed to, which they did, say, okay, who are we going to go with now, and let's save some back.
Let's go to Aaron in Rochester, New York. Aaron, what's up?
Guys, what's going on?
Not too much.
All right. Basically, I just want to talk about the pay-per-view main event. I think that they almost have to turn it into almost like a fatal four-way thing. Just because of, like, what you guys are saying, Hogan Undertaker was horrid about 12 years ago. I can't imagine how bad it's going to come off.
Yeah, and I just thought those angles during the week didn't come off well at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but I think somehow they're going to have to turn it into a fatal four-way, because, I mean, if it's Hogan Undertaker, it's just going to be brutal. And that way, if it's a fatal four-way, they can kind of get the belt off him without him losing too much
Yeah.
Without heat or whatever.
Yeah.
So there is still money to be made, I think, with Hogan Austin, and then eventually Hogan.
I don't think so.
There's money for that now.
I think it's gone. I don't think there's not now. I think Hogan needs to go home. And Jim can
do one farewell.
Farewell.
Not now.
Dave, I wish you'd come out now and knock somebody.
No. I mean, okay.
He needs to go home now.
He does. He needs to go home now. He just needs to go home now. I mean, there's just no way around it right now. No, the thing is,
the only person that ever told me that was Ole Anderson when he closed down the Tennessee branch of the Georgia Territory in 1983. He came into interviews one day and told us all, "Don't do this anymore." We kind of got the message from that.
No, the thing is, when it comes to what's the word? A legend. Somebody wrote me this, and it was like one of the smartest things that they wrote that I got written all week was that Vince should go to Jerry Lawler and go, Jerry, how did you keep Jackie Fargo over for 10 years when he was 50 years old to 60 years old or whatever the age was? And there was a reason. It's because Jackie Fargo came in for 2 weeks, and then he was gone for like 8 months, and then he came in for a week or two again. And you never got tired of him, and you were always happy to see him.
Yep, exactly.
And that's Hogan. And Vince knew it. I mean, the thing is, when Vince signed Hogan, when Vince signed Flair, when Vince signed The Big Show, every one of those things, he said, this is what needs to be done, this is what they're doing wrong. And in all 3 cases, he put them on TV week after week after week. And I think Flair's done okay because Flair's such an incredible interview. But, in the case of Hogan, he overstayed his welcome. I mean, by 1 week, and now every other week is going to be another week. And Big Show, the guy was great, but he should be. I guess it's a different business. You can't do what you did with Andre because there's no territories.
Yeah, well, that's a big problem in that Andre never overstayed his welcome because he was traveling all over the country.
Yeah.
And the Big Show, he's the world's largest human being, and legitimately, how much jeopardy can he be put in? But by the same token, less is more in that when you see him every week, he becomes one of the boys instead of larger than life.
Yeah.
Because he is larger than life.
Yeah, much larger.
One more question.
That's the problem.
Go ahead.
Do you think they're going to have Edge go over Angle in about 2 weeks and shave Angle's head, or what do you think going with that?
If I was guessing, that's what I'm guessing.
Angle's going to shave the head?
Yeah, I think it's more likely Angle's getting his head shaved than Edge.
Yeah, that's like Edge's whole character seems to be not the whole character, but a big part of it is the hair.
Well, plus, can you imagine what kind of shears they'd have to bring in for Edge? It's like a Brazilian rainforest.
Guys, have a good night. Thanks.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Aaron. Let's go to Scott in Greenville, Kentucky. Scott, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Brian and Dave and Jim?
In Kentucky.
Yes, sir. Muhlenberg County.
There you go.
I don't really get a chance to see or pick up WB34 where I'm at, only on good nights, but just want you to know I'm a big fan of OVW wrestling.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're right on the line over there where you can get it if the wind's blowing right.
Only on good nights we can pick it up down here.
Well, and I haven't mentioned this in so long. At ovwrestling.com, you can actually subscribe to OVW television, on videotape, just so you know.
I was going to ask you a question about Prototype. He's probably one of my favorite wrestlers and most entertaining ones on there right now. What's the chances of him being on WWF TV anytime in the future?
Anytime in the future, it's almost positive. I mean, Prototype he's going to be a total package. He's all around. He can talk. He looks great. He has a great attitude. He's improving every day in the ring. He's going to be a complete package, and it's only a matter of time. And I think, once again, they've got so much talent now, and so much talent, on the full-time roster, they can afford to give these guys the time they need to really develop. Because Randy Orton, for example, once again, there's a kid that's 22 years old, and he's going to be a star for the next 20 years if he wants to be, but he's already got a couple of years of experience, so he's not out there wandering around lost. Even The Rock, who was the fastest learner, of all time, I think, in the wrestling business, he and Kurt Angle, The Rock had a couple of years between Memphis and the time in the WWF spent underneath to really get comfortable. So, that's what Prototype is going to do, and I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot of big things from him.
Okay, I have one more question. This is probably for all three of y'all. Okay, I am going to be attending the Judgment Day pay-per-view. And I've noticed the last 2 pay-per-views, they have charged outrageous prices.
You mean for the live show? or for the
for the Judgment Day pay-per-view.
You mean the $35 price?
$35.
Yeah, the $35 price. Yeah, they raised it $5. Yeah.
No, I was talking about attending the live event.
Oh yeah. The ringside seats.
$100.
Ringside seats for these matches are a lot. You know, people buy them. It's supply and demand. As long as
you also get to keep the chair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still not worth it. I definitely went downhill, and it's for $300 to sit at ringside to go through 3 hours of that stuff. When you could pay a lot cheaper to OVW Wrestling.
I'm caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he can't say anything about that.
I'll speak. I'll just nod on it. I had one show, and that was probably my most favorite wrestling show I've ever been to.
Really?
In my life.
Good job.
An OVW show was in Litchfield, Kentucky, back last year sometime. I can't remember for sure when it was. It was like October.
I remember that it was in October. I believe it was the 23rd.
I had a chance to get to talk to the wrestlers. They was nice as could be. I mean, they would talk to you and not really they wasn't rude or anything at all.
Okay, Scott, we got to get running because we got a ton of people who want to talk to Jim.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, you're very welcome. We'll go to Dennis in Kirksville, Missouri. Dennis, happening.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you, Mr. Cornette, for making the OVW videotapes available. It's something that I look forward to each and every month. I grew up in the Central States territory, and it's kind of like reliving old times.
Well, Central States wasn't that good.
From the standpoint that it's something different.
I know, I'm just teasing.
Yeah. But my question is about two guys that the WWF just called up from OVW, Brock Lesnar and Rico. I want to get your take on how you think the WWF is handling both of those. I'm really impressed with what I see out of Brock Lesnar. I think putting him with Paul is a pretty good thing, but I kind of wish they would let Rico get in the ring and actually wrestle instead of wasting him with Billy and Chuck.
Well, actually, I look at that and I told Rico this is a positive thing because he can make a niche for himself. Willie and Chuck is the dark-haired guy with two blonde guys, and they complement each other because Rico's entertaining as heck. But then he can wrestle in the future, and that way they've got something to go to. So, I like that. And as far as Brock, I love the wrestling art of building the perfect beast, and I think they've done a tremendous job there. And I must say that Paulie has done, what he should do as a manager for Brock Lesnar.
And the WWF developmental
here, or have come here, in hopes of getting contracts, and some of the OVW. I think we've had, at this point now, 7 or 8 of the OVW guys or guys who were in OVW get developmental contracts through that, as well as the numerous OVWE. Not all guys have contracts. A majority of them do, but I try to talent based on their ability rather than their job situation. And if somebody's good, whether they've got a contract or not, if they want to work here, I will use them.
A name that I never hear of potential watching is Sin. Do you think that there could ever be a place for her in the WWF?
There's a place for Sin, it seems, anywhere she wants to connive her way. The Wicked Witch of Kentucky, I guess.
Yeah. We've got to go head to a break right now, or we're gonna come
866-627-3783. Once again, here's Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly and Jim Cornette. And we also have open lines. You can call us right now at 1-866-OBSERVER and actually get on in just a couple of minutes. We're going to go to Chris in Long Island. Chris, what's going on?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's going really good.
I heard a story, actually, about the Edge Angle match. I don't know if it's true as far as to why they're kind of booking it this way, but the story I heard was that since Angle is actually losing his hair, that he will lose this match, get it shaved, and then he's going to have some kind of transplant surgery like Sean Stasiak had, and that's kind of the reason they're doing this all, or at least a way to kind of get him to get this surgery done, and it won't be so noticeable that if he just lost his hair and grew it back right away.
Was that from the National Enquirer? Or?
I honestly don't know. I heard it was actually on a local wrestling hotline that somebody had told me the story, so I was just calling to find out if you knew it.
I never heard it.
Why would he have to shave his head first, though?
I don't know.
I don't know enough about hair transplants.
Neither do I. That's why I was just asking. I have no clue. But I just wanted to know if there was
I think that's one of those things that sounds good to tell.
Yeah.
It probably does. Also, with the 2.9 rating they got, is there any fear that, aside from them knowing that the whole Hogan thing is dead, are they going to look to try and pin this on Jericho at all? The certain people.
I don't think they can afford to pin anything on Jericho because that show. if they start and go on that show, I mean, they need more stars, not less
Well,
stars.
I mean, in terms of not so much Vince or somebody saying that, but the guys like Nash and the usual characters that like to do that to people and point in the wrong direction when something goes wrong.
Well, but the problem is that it's a whole crew. It's not, Kurt Angle's on that show. There's a lot of guys on that show, and the other show, I mean, their number was down this week too. Although it's still their Raw number is still a pretty decent number, good number even, all things considered.
Jericho did a hell of a lot more with Hogan than Hunter did, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
I think everybody gets wrapped up too much in the minute-by-minute, quarter-hour ratings, meaning this and meaning that and meaning the other thing. We had a deal here one time where the cable company's hookup went down and our TV station broadcast a color bars for 16 minutes, and it was our highest-rated quarter hour.
Uh-oh, that's scary, though.
I mean, the ratings are, it's people are falling asleep with the TV tuned to something, and, so all of a sudden...
That's actually true, because I do fall asleep very often to some of the late shows and stuff. I don't know what that means, but, like the Letterman ratings and things like that. I wonder if they include people who are sleeping. Chris, anything else?
Yeah, I had one other question actually about the Cruiserweight division. I heard that they were going to maybe not put it on hold so much as like not having title matches, but as far as calling up new people because they've been debuting so many people like Orton and Rico and Lesnar and everybody that they were going to hold off on bringing up some of the guys from OVW and expanding the division. I don't know if there was.
I don't know about OVW. I mean, the guys that they're probably going to be in first would be Mysterio, Jamie Noble, and Shannon Moore, and My impression.
That's what I heard, that Noble and Moore were going to kind of be put on the back burner because of all the other call-ups that they brought up. Those were the two names that I actually did hear when I heard.
You may be right, but I had actually heard that Noble and Moore are going to be starting on the road in a couple of weeks, which doesn't mean they'll be starting on TV, but it means that they're getting ready for him and they want to see him on, and everything.
I think it just depends on how, things naturally progress. If you want to do something and you find you don't have time this week to do it, instead of doing it halfway, just wait till next week. And, I think everything will work itself out.
Well, it's better not to rush. I think we've learned that one for sure.
Yeah, that's always been my formula.
Yeah.
Also, is there any chance of Dean Malenko coming back into the division, or is he retired?
There's a chance, but I don't think a good chance.
Did he retire kind of by force or by just...
I think by choice. Certainly not by force. No one told him to retire. I think the deal was that an agent's job opened up, and, he's 41 years old and he doesn't want to be crippled. And it's a good time to get out when he's still in one piece.
Okay, and I just want to give a quick plug for the ObserverLiveChat.com, and that's it. Thanks for taking
Okay, cool, Chris. All right, we're going to go to Detroit and Craig. Craig, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Good. I just have a question. I was wondering if there's any plans for Ultimate Warrior coming back to the WWF.
None that I'm aware of, and that one would really surprise me. That's a name that I never hear.
Today, that'd be surprising.
Yeah, I mean, like when he went to, I think that he really killed himself when he went to WCW, and
he killed himself.
Yeah, I mean, he was a 1 week.
No, he didn't kill himself. Wait, stop.
He was a 1 week wonder. He was a 1 week wonder. When him and Hulk Hogan didn't draw a good buy rate.
He killed his dwindling appeal.
Yeah, I think that everyone kind of realized that, the day of the Ultimate Warrior was over.
Is he black?
He said he's got a retirement home on the planet Zambodia now.
Is he a black guy?
Let's go to Nick. What's going on?
Not much. I was wondering what, type of stuff a person should do if they want to get on the writing team, the booking team, what kind of career path do you take to get to that point?
That is a real tough one, because there's really no answer to that. Right now, I mean, the last guy that they hired, and he knows wrestling. He's a smart guy when it comes to wrestling, but he worked on the show Friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is
so just like TV production, is that probably the way to go, or?
I would say TV writing, and I think it's real helpful to
would work.
What?
A career in politics, that would prepare you.
Yeah, I think that, that probably would. I think studying wrestling a lot would really be of assistance, but they don't think that sometimes, so I don't know.
It'd be a detriment.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, I guess. Thanks a lot.
Okay, great. Let's go to Mike in Atlanta. Mike, what's going on?
Hi there. I'm wondering, now the SmackDown crew wrestles house shows on Monday nights opposite Raw, correct?
Yep.
Are they making a lot less money than the Raw crew as far as house shows are concerned then? Or is there any...
Because of the Monday, the SmackDown crew is drawing less than the Raw crew right now, yeah.
Are the contracts based on percentage of the gates, though, or not?
They've got downside guarantees, but almost everybody makes more money when they're on the road than their downside guarantee. So the SmackDown guys, generally speaking, for the last month are going to be making... Oh, God, I had the number. Probably 15% less than the Raw guys.
Okay, so are people going to be upset about working SmackDown? I mean, is there does Raw have a show opposite SmackDown, or have a house show opposite SmackDown?
No, they don't. The Raw people don't work on Tuesdays. No.
Oh, but they don't Thursdays though either, or do they?
No. The Raw
Only when the moon is blue.
The Raw people work. Was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the SmackDown people work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Okay, so is there any effort by people on SmackDown to not be working SmackDown? Is that something that they're not concerned
Hey, can I answer that one? If anybody in this business is smart these days, there's not any kind of effort to not work anything.
No kidding.
That's true. Okay, well, that was really all I asked.
Okay, Jim, you don't ever watch Tough Enough, do you?
Boy, let me cough that dirt up again. Actually, no. It's kind of like if you're a policeman. I've had a lot of policemen tell me they don't watch cop shows. If you run a wrestling school, you don't watch a show about people training to be wrestlers, because then you get mad and stomp and kick a lot.
Okay, there was a thing on Tough Enough on Thursday, and they had all the guys there, and they had a really hard early training session, and Al Snow thought it was not in anyone's best interest to have do a second session on that day. They were in South Africa, as a matter of fact, and so he wanted to cancel the second session. And John Gaborik, Big John, he said that he kind of thought that they should train. So what they did was they made a deal, and they were going to do a vote. And they goes, well, we'll give the guys a choice. You can either say that you want to take a nap or you can train. And then Al goes, well, everyone's going to say that they're going to want to train. With this competition as stiff as they are, no one's going to raise their hand and say they want to take a nap.
Right.
And John goes, okay, so if they say they want to take a nap, they train. And if they say they want to train, we give them a nap. And Al goes, yes, right. And they asked the guys, okay, you guys have two choices. You can train or take a nap. And except for one person, everybody said they wanted to take a nap. And Al was so mad. I mean, he really was, because
oh my God,
he didn't want to go out there in that hot sun and take bumps in that ring that was like concrete in South Africa a second time that day. And and as it turned out, they didn't train anyway. But
South Africa to begin with, a free trip. See, that's one of the reasons why a person who runs a wrestling school should not watch Tough Enough, because if somebody walked into OVW and told Danny Davis they want to take a nap, I don't believe there'd be enough left of them for the buzzards to pick. There's plenty of time to sleep after you retire. If you want to get in the wrestling business, sleep is not, a high priority.
Dave knows that one.
God, I never sleep.
What kind of advice would you give people that want to try out for Tough Enough 3? Because they're going to do that third season.
That's right, they're doing a third season.
So what was the question?
What kind of advice would you give guys that want to send in tapes?
I really can't do that because I don't produce Tough Enough. I can say if you want to get into a wrestling school, send a tape of a wrestling match and an interview and look good, be in shape, and have a clue about the business, and, that's what we would look for, but I'm not working for MTV.
And I think also, when you get tapes of somebody who smashed a light bulb over their head, I think that, don't you smash that tape right away?
No, actually, I don't throw it away. I'll either keep it because that's a classic example of the level of stupidity that humankind can reach, or I'll take movies over it.
What do you think? I mean, as far as in your area, there's promotions that do that stuff and everything like that.
Ian Rotten.
Yeah, Ian Rotten, for example. And, it's a different version. It's a different version of wrestling. I don't know what it is, but...
actually, it's not a different version of wrestling. It's a different version of I badly, badly need to attract attention to myself in any way possible. I want to prove that I'm cool to my girlfriends or my friends in college or my buddies that work at the Jiffy Lube with me, and so I'm going to bleed all over myself and dive into very sharp objects and cripple myself and look like a goof doing it. It doesn't take any skill. It's not going to get you a job in the WWF. It's going to get you, laughed at by everybody in the business that's really in the wrestling business, and it's not the way to go. But, these guys, they're either going to try it because somebody convinces them that they'll be big stars in wrestling, or they're going to try it because they know they can't be big stars. Like an Ian Rotten, I'm a big fat tub of goo, so I'll mutilate myself because then somebody will pay attention to me.
Well, that was nice. Let's go to Chris.
Unfortunately.
Let's go to Chris in Indiana.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Brian. Hey, Mr. Cornette.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I have a question about, I may have heard this statement on one of your shoot interviews from back in the Smoky days, but not the Smoky arenas, mind you, but Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But I think that you might have made a statement or somebody that up till that point, and maybe even in the whole history of the territory, that the Cornette versus Bill Watts feud was the biggest money draw ever in the territory. Is that true?
Actually, it's not, because unfortunately we didn't do that in Smoky Mountain. We did that in Mid-South.
That was Mid-South Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was told at the time that we were in the middle of it, is that that no series of matches. We did $1.2 million at the gate in 14 days in cities that, you know, I mean, yeah, we had Houston and Oklahoma City, but we also had Greenwood, Mississippi. So it was, to my knowledge, the biggest money program that
I think that was the biggest program that they ever did in their territory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, props out to you then. Thanks.
Okay.
I wish to God we'd done it in Smoky Mountain.
You'd still be in business today, because you couldn't lose money that fast.
I couldn't lose that much money that quick.
Hey, yeah. Well, we can talk about that in a second. You know, it's really scary though about wrestling, about how much money some of these people burn through. You know, I mean, you went through money in Smoky Mountain too, but you know, it wasn't like it was $2.5 million a quarter.
No, I mean, you know, that's unheard of. I don't even know how they can do it. I wish they'd call me. I'll give them some ideas and my address, you know, for the checks.
Tom, Huntington Beach, California. What's going on?
How you guys doing?
Doing great.
My question is really, why didn't WWF go back to their old standby of Titan Sports Incorporated instead of changing to the WWE logo and name?
It's not. It's Titan Sports was never like initials though. I mean, it's the WWF initials that they had to drop.
Do you think it would be better if they went back to Titan Sports because people are still familiarized with it?
I don't think that. Well, no one was really. Titan Sports wasn't really the name brand. It was really World Wrestling Federation that everybody was familiar with.
Why not WWFE?
Probably they just wanted to do 3 letters. They could have done WFE.
Sure, that's true. And my second question is, where's WrestleMania going to be next year?
I don't think they know yet.
They don't know yet?
I don't think so, no.
Will it be a big dome show, or think they can't get many fans anymore?
Who knows about a year? I will not make any predictions for a year from now.
I mean, I think for the foreseeable future, the WWF can fill up a dome anywhere, just about anywhere, just simply on the event.
Yeah, well, as far as WrestleMania goes, I mean, that Toronto thing, I mean, we were worried about Toronto, you know, because that was, when they put tickets on sale, it was kind of like a lot of business was down. It was like, I think, in the fall. And they went and sold it out, you know, all the tickets that they had, the 50,000 or so that they had the first day. I mean, they sold it out in 2 days, actually.
I can tell you from being there, if they could have got another 30,000 people in the building, they probably could have sold the tickets.
Easily. Easily. So, but again, a year from now, I don't know.
You drove up there, didn't you, Jim?
Oh, yeah. That's only 650 miles from Louisville.
That's all.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's part of my new plan in life is no more airplanes.
Okay. Well, we are... I hear that music. That means that we're out of time. Jim, okay, real quick. Why no more airplanes in life?
Just trying to cut down on stress. Hate being in the air. Hate airplanes. Hate flying.
Okay.
I'm a much happier guy when I can buzz through the Wendy's drive-thru at will.
Okay, Jim, I want to thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you very much, Dave, for inviting me. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, we'll be talking to Jim hopefully real soon on the show again. Next week, Bill Goldberg. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. We'll see you all next Sunday night.